Yeah, buddy. We are ready to rock, boys. We got the dash locked and loaded. Now, mind you, did not look like this. It probably looked a little something like this. As a matter of fact, let me show you all the junk we took out. Look at that freaking nastiness, guys. Oh man, there were splicers, there was butt connectors everywhere, there was all kinds of junk, you guys. That's the aftermath. But what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. You guys already know, got the fan going, so you might have a little bit of background noise. I don't know, it's hot, guys. It is about 108 today and we inside, but it's still hot. Now let's get right down to it. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about this dash before I put it in. If you guys are interested in a dash swap video, I've already kind of made one of those videos. I'll link it down in the description below on kind of how to prep the dash more or less, but we'll go over it real quick. Like I said, we took all that old stuff out, man. It just was not going to cut it. There was going to be way too many splices, way too many butt connectors throughout. So if you guys pull your dash apart and it looks like a rat nest, please do me a favor, invest in a new harness, you guys. It is just not worth the headache. Now, before you guys put your dash back in, obviously you got to lace up. We got the new Dakota digital. I got plenty of videos on how to do that. We'll try to link some down below. We have our vintage air, of course. We got that guy just sitting here. You also have to make your ducts, because this is the factory duct. You end up having to cut that thing out and putting this adapter on here. This right here, this stuff is just really to kind of hide that seam and also prevent from any air escaping in there once it hits there. That way you're getting full AC in there. That actually comes with the vintage air kit, and it actually comes, it's used for the lines on the inside of the car. But it works good for that, to kind of clean up that, and also, like I said, prevent any air from coming out through the sides there. Like you can see, that's what we cut off. You see, that's the old factory one. You got to cut that off. But back up to it, obviously we got our Dakota digital box. I like to mount them up here. Actually, as a matter of fact, I wish I mounted mine on my car here, because it's easier to get to. If you ever got to do some work on it or add some for any reason, it's easy to get to. You just pull the top dash pad out, it's right there. We also have the BIM module, you guys. If you guys are doing a swap, it's your first time, I would really look into it. Even if it's not your first time, they just work really good to get all your information over to your dashboard. So it'll get all the different sensors that pretty much that the computer has over to your dash. You know what I mean? So it's just easier to do it that way. Obviously, if you guys don't go with the BIM module, you're going to end up having to wire every single sensor to the motor. But this is a good way to do that. And then we have it running back through here with the OBD2 port. You got to plug in your OBD2 port to that to read it, obviously. We got a couple extra goodies in here, an antenna here for Sirius XM. Got a couple wires up here as well, a couple of GPS wire stuff for the radio, mic for the radio, stuff like that that we're going to end up mounting on top. That is just kind of hanging here, USB, speaker stuff. We even got the radio kind of nice and laced up, ready to go. That way we can just do some quick connects for our speakers and stuff like that. Obviously, you guys want to leave this dash as best as possible when it comes to disconnecting and connecting everything. So you can see everything's, for me, is going to be plug in. Just plug everything in once we get it onto the car. Or if you got to pull the dash out for whatever reason, you got everything nice and laced in just like this. You see, everything has a connector. That's the way it should be. That way you can take this thing apart and put it back together with no problem. So this is also going to be our connector for our AC. If you guys know, Vintage Air has a couple wires that you got to hook up. That's just all it is dash lights and an accessory wire, accessory power. So like I said, try to get the dash pretty much ready to go before you put it in. It really helps with the process of the swap, you guys. Obviously, we're going to have a new fuse box. We got that just kind of sitting there. That'll get bolted to the dash itself, or the back of the dash. But we got everything pretty much ready to go. Let me go ahead and slap it in, and you guys can kind of see how it's really going to look. Like I said, you don't have to mess with anything now once this is done, but a few wires that you got to hook up underneath that are coming from the dash, or I'm sorry, from the engine, which is not much. and then you're pretty much ready to go. You have a working dash. Looking good, you guys, looking good. Dash is back in. You guys can see I even went ahead and put the new radio face on as well, you guys. We wanted to change it up a little bit because it already had the single DIN for the stereo right there. And in order to really, I guess, put a modern stereo, that's kind of what we had to do. We didn't want to just do a regular single face. This is a Pioneer floating screen. It looks pretty cool. I think it looks pretty good. Obviously, it just gives it a little bit of a modern taste, but not everybody's cup of tea, but it'll really help out with just a day-to-day driving, and it'll give you everything that you need, as a matter of fact, everything that you have in your today's cars in this old school. Not to mention the Dakota digital gauges. Those things look freaking good. We'll set those up once we get some power in this thing, but you guys can see this is kind of what your dash should look like. Also, we did the USB mod right there as well for the phone charger. And then as far as wires coming into the dash, you're not going to have much, at least not from this GM harness. So you're going to have the gas pedal. You guys can see we also mounted the gas pedal. I made a bracket for it the other day. We got that thing nice and mounted right there. So you're going to have obviously the gas pedal wire coming in from the engine compartment. You're going to have the transmission, 3 wires coming in from that for the transmission controller. You guys can see where I put it there. That's the one we talked about from US Shift. Mounted on the firewall right there, out of the way, clean. You can still get to it, mess with it, and it's out of the way. Wires are nice and tucked. I also made, there's a fuse. You guys can see right there, that red fuse. That red fuse is actually for the transmission controller. I always want to put that stuff where it's serviceable, where you can get to it. If you need to troubleshoot, you can get to it nice and easy. Obviously, we got some stuff here for the amp. We still got to wire in the amps for the sound system. But you guys can see how there's no wires just really hanging that shouldn't be there. Everything's nice, tucked away, pre-wired to the dash. That's what you guys want to do. These wires are right here are actually for the door jamb switch. We got to get a new switch because that one's busted up. So we're just have those lined there. This one as well, this is the connector off the fuse blocks. This will actually feed the harness that goes to the back of the car. Then we have a couple connectors right here. This is just for the actual shifter / center console. We're gonna have to run those once we got the console in. But you guys can see nothing, everything's nice and tucked away. We had 1 wire over there as well for that door jamb switch. Our relays and breaker for our vintage air is going to be all tucked away in that cow duct panel right there, kick panel. Even the 1 wire that comes from the AC box, remember we had that quick disconnect that goes to the dash. That one's all ready to go, connected. And you also have 1 wire that'll come in from the GM LS standalone harness that gets plugged into your Dakota digital, and that one's there is for your check engine light. So if you guys see, remember when we mounted our box here, easy to get to. All you gotta do is have the dash pad off. But you guys see it right there, that little brown wire with like a white stripe on it. That one is coming from the firewall / standalone harness, and that's your check engine light. So you are gonna need that. Remember that. You're gonna have a pigtail / connector that gets plugged into the vintage air, also back to the actual EVAT box from vintage air. We got a couple other things we have to do on top of the dash here. These are all just like stuff that are gonna get ended up probably on the windshield. Like this is a GPS harness for the radio, a mic for the Bluetooth, stuff like that. We'll mount that once we get power and we know everything is good to go. But I'm happy, you guys. Like I said, you really want to try to eliminate as many wires as possible, just kind of hanging and basically not knowing where they're supposed to go or if anybody works on your car and they look underneath the dash and they don't see a freaking rat's nest. And this is what really you should aim for, and what it should look like when you put that dash in. That way you put it in one solid unit, one hit. You ain't worried about all these crazy wires pulling it off or taking it back on, or putting it back on, I should say, if need be. So make it as easy as possible for yourself and anybody working on it. So what we'll probably do in the next video, we'll probably talk about all the grounds on the engine and the harness and everything coming off the battery pertaining to the grounds, because that's the #1 issue I've seen why cars won't start. It's because of a ground issue. So we'll talk about that in the next video, but you guys got to hit the bell for notifications. And one other thing, you guys, did a little autocross this weekend. I'm going to show you guys a couple videos on that, a couple little bloopers. I don't even know what you want to call it. Seat time. We got some seat time in this weekend in the Chevelle, so check it out. All right, you guys, buckled in, strapped in. I think we good. Man, it's getting hot, it's getting warm. Hopefully the car does good. A little worried because of the heat. It's probably at least 108 today. It's only gonna get hotter, so we'll see. I'll see you guys out there. Thank you, sir.